Hi there, it's Sandra Arnott, and today I'm going to be showing how to render some very simple timber flooring, and this is especially for my students at Unitec at the School of Architecture. So these are our interior design exercises that we're going to be working on today. So with timber flooring, we've got options in terms of the colours that we use, and so the idea with rendering is that you're trying to replicate the different materials that you're using within your interior schemes. So there's lots of different coloured woods. So the one that I've got on my page at the moment, so this is the first one we're going to do. This is light timber. So you can see here I've got two examples. This is like a very pale oak. This one here has got slightly more grey tones. And so you can vary it depending on how much grey you use underneath and the colours that you use. So this is the first one that we're going to do today. And then there are a couple other options. This one here is using the dark tones. And with this one we use a much warmer grey because the actual colour that we're using underneath is our E29, the Copic Burnt Umber, so that's going to be our main colour. And because I'm a little bit short on markers with COVID lockdown, I'm going to have to use a cool grey number 5 here today for this one, but normally I would use a warm grey 5 for that. So that's the dark floor, and you'll see here that I've actually got some reflection. So this is showing reflection that might come through a window that I've drawn in the corner here, and we do that simply by using white pencil. Once we've finished our drawing, we just come over top with some white pencil. So that's the dark floor, and then the final one is this one here, which is using our medium tone. So this floor most closely represents something like a rimu or a mahogany, or it could be an aged kauri. So this is probably the most common colour for flooring. And so E39 is our main tone, and underneath that we have warm grey 3. Warm grey 4 is probably better, but mine seems to have conked out on me. So those are the colours we're going to use for that one. So I'm going to start, the technique for all of them is the same. So this is the first one that I'm going to work on. And so the first thing is to lay in the grey colours. And so I'm going to use E40 or brick white today because this is the lightest grey that I've got. And I just want to keep this really light. So you're going to start by using your grey tone, and I'm going to start down at the front of the drawing, so I'm going to move my paper depending on what's most comfortable for me. So I'm going to start by, at the front I'm going to work from left to right because I'm left-handed, and I'm going to alternate it. So I'm going to keep turning my paper around and I'm going to come from the other side, and I'm going to basically come about 3/4 of the way down the board from each side. So there we go. So I'm just constantly turning my paper as I do this. So I'm coming 3/4 of the way up, and as I get to where I want to finish my stroke, I actually lift my pen off the paper. So essentially it's feathers the colour out. So instead of coming to an abrupt stop, I'm just lifting that off the paper. And so I'm going to come from the other side now. But you don't want it to look too stripy. See here I've got, this is probably not ideal because it's looking like a piano. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to put a little bit more grey in some places. So I'm going to keep turning it around. Okay, so now that I've put some grey in, I can start putting in my top coat. So really the technique is you're putting in the grey tones underneath, to try and give some variation in the tones of your floorboards, so when they finish you're going to be able to see the difference between the ones that are just like this one. So this is just the plain colour, and here I'm putting that over top of the grey, so it's just going to give me a slightly different look to that board. So as you can see here, and so we can keep doing this. So we're coming from both sides. So the idea with flooring is that you want it to show that variation, because when you look at a timber floor, the boards are all different, they're all different colours, and quite often you'll see a join. So what I can do here is I can go put multiple layers over top. So if I want to darken something up, I just put a second layer on. So in some places I've got grey underneath, in some places it's just the base colour. And you can leave some over in this top corner. You can leave some that are actually just still the white. So you don't have to actually cover the whole thing up. So I think that's more or less okay. What I might try and do now is just go back and put a little bit more grey on, because I just want to, again, put a bit more variation into some of these boards. And this colour is quite subtle, so unlike the darker flooring, you've got to keep it quite light, because that's the effect that we're trying to do. It's quite a light floor. Now, if I did have, so this is brick white. If I had a warm grey one, that probably would give me a slightly darker effect. So that's enough for now.